Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Kraus. But before we begin, if you guys could please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So with that said, Cash, what are we reviewing today?
Oh, it's tearjerker, Mason. It's a tearjerker, a supernatural drama. You don't see that very often.
It's a very
supernatural drama.
Rarely spliced genre.
Maybe Ghost with Patrick Swayze would also be a supernatural drama. It's the only one I can think of. But yeah, a supernatural drama nonetheless called 9 Days, directed by Edson Oda in his first directorial debut ever, which is pretty good. I'd say he did a good job.
Yeah.
But starring Winston Duke himself, Zaza Beetz, Benedict Wong, Tony Hale, and Bill Skarsgard.
Whoa.
A lot of good actors in this.
And Benedict Wong also in...
Well, Avengers, he plays Wong.
There you go.
He's great in everything he is.
He is.
And I love fucking Benedict Wong. But yeah, this is it's a powerful film, Mason. This film it's weird because I think it was a weird one where I think it was like filmed in 2019. Supposed to come out in 2020.
Well, we reacted to it like a year ago.
Yeah, right. Then it got delayed in 2020 and didn't come out in theaters until 2021.
Well, let's put things in perspective here. This was released or premiered at the Sundance Film Festival January 27th of 2020.
Right. And I remember hearing a ton about it, and then it got delayed forever.
Yep.
And then they just kind of randomly threw it out to where no one saw it. I feel like in theaters at least.
Which is
I got to see it in theaters. I got lucky enough, but
yeah, you did.
I just came upon it looking through Showtimes and then 9 days.
When I remember reacting to this and being very excited for this film to come out. We thought it looked really good. And I'm going to say this right now. This is one of those films, and I rarely say this, and I don't often think about it when I watch a film and think about the screenplay, but this adapted to a playwright would be a phenomenal playwright, dude. It would be so fucking good on stage. I love this film.
It's definitely almost meant to be like that, even with the main character of Winston Duke's character. Will was an actor. He was in plays.
Yes, which comes back into play later.
But I love this film because it deals with this existential, what's life before life, and what does it mean to be alive, which is a huge question for a film to ask, and a huge job for it to accomplish. But I thought it does a really good job. It's very philosophical at times. It almost breaks the mold of what films are supposed to be because there's scenes last for a very long time, long-winded dialogue, not a lot of editing, little music being played at times as well. There's an absence of score, but it just fucking works. The scenes work, the dialogue works because the dialogue is so well written, but it's almost tell, no show, where it's a lot of just speaking about things, but it hit the nail on the head for most things for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the performances were really good too. I thought Bill Skarsgard was great as that pessimistic side of looking at the world and the people in the world as evil and being more aware of that.
Yeah.
Of all the bad things that happen in the world.
Ended up being the right candidate at the time. But if you haven't seen the film, I'll go over the premise because it's an awesome creative premise that's very unique and cool. It's Winston Duke plays Will. He lives in this house in the desert, which is a metaphor, I'm sure, for something of this unhospitality. Wherever he goes, we'll kill him if he's not in this house. But he lives in this house, and his job is to predetermine what souls will be the best match for Earth when they go down. So what he does is he gets candidates, and after a 9-day series, they go through questions and tests. And at the very end of 9 days, out of like these 6 or 7 candidates, he chooses which one will go to Earth, and the rest of them will cease to exist.
Right.
But it's this predetermination that you're already who you are before you go to Earth already.
You'll just have no recollection or memory of Will in your time in the 9 days in this house.
Yes, but
unless you're Amanda, and then you do.
Yes, and it's this interesting belief that a lot of people do believe that you are predetermined to be who you are before you're even born. Like all these people already have personalities, they're all individually different. They're not molds of people or whatever. And then they go to Earth and they restart. And then throughout life you become, but you're already who you are. Like Bill Skarsgard's character, no matter what, he'll become him. He'll become pessimistic and darker. But it's very interesting because Will has to determine, it's a lot of pressure for him to determine who's going to be the best. And you also got to determine, who's going to be stronger and who's going to be weaker. You want someone sensitive, but you don't want them too sensitive. You want them pessimistic, but you don't want them so fucking dark that they're going to end up killing people or shooting up a school or something.
Right.
So it's a lot of pressure, and we end up finding out that how you get there to be the judge is you're chosen, you go through Earth, and then if you kill yourself, you are, I guess, cursed to do this
Judge
job.
Souls.
Yeah. Which is a heavy thing.
Yeah,
but Winston Duke does a fantastic fucking job in this film of navigating this role, because it relies a lot of him just carrying the scenes for most of them. Mm-hmm. But he does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
The entire thing is very well shot and very philosophical, but it doesn't get preachy at any times, and nothing ever goes over your head or anything either, to where it's like it's too big or whatever. It's very down to earth, and it's interesting because all the candidates are good candidates. It's not written to where like clearly there's one person that should be on Earth. All of these people could be on Earth.
And I love the answers too, because they were all so uniquely different. You had Kyle and Alexander, where well, what are you gonna do? What are you going to do? Are you going to kick the chair out? And some of them were like, well, do I have another kid?
Yeah.
Like, there were funny moments sprinkled in this film as well. And notice Winston Duke, Will, in this, when he's out there and he's got the projector and he's sitting there with them, and, they're having a beer, and he finally gives them a beer. The guy's drinking the beer, but the cap's still on Winston Duke's.
Well, he talks about it earlier.
He doesn't want to live.
And
like in any capacity, he doesn't want to remember. Like when his friend comes over, he goes, hey, this food in your fridge, I think, has got an anniversary. Saying that he doesn't, in explaining to the girl, he doesn't get hungry.
Right. And that's such an interesting question to even pose, that life was so good, obviously, for him, that he can't even tasting like what he had, just a little taste of what he had, could throw off his entire fucking world.
Right.
But he gave up that, at one point his life got so bad that he gave all that up,
Well, and that's why, again, because he's in this eternal place of judging that he does not want to feel what it's like to live ever again.
It's almost worse than hell. Yeah. It really is.
It's like a hell purgatory.
I know. Yeah, but it's
purgatory
like,
hell.
Instead of being tortured, you have to choose the people that are going to go on to live these great lives, knowing you'll never live again. You'll never, ever taste what you had.
But it's also being the arbiter of that, too, and like deciding who gets to live and who gets to, die. And technically they're not alive, they're not dead, but in a sense they are, because they fade away into nothingness.
And we got to talk about, we didn't talk about it, but once he chooses, it's not like he just chooses and he doesn't think about it again. He has, and it's the set design's amazing too, but he has this multiple VHS players and screens, and he's always watching the lives that he chose.
Yep.
So through pain and through love and through ups and downs, he's with them constantly. When they get married, he dresses up. His favorite among all the people that he chose was someone named Amanda. And it hints,
she was a prodigy too.
And it hints at that she was almost able to remember who Will was.
Well, when she was a kid, he had VHS recordings of her like drawing Will.
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
I
he's my
love
friend.
that little element thrown
He
that in
doesn't talk
there.
to me. He's not with us, but he's always with me.
Exactly. And then eventually throughout age, she lost that. But maybe there's a little instance that you can remember the guy that picked you or whatever. I like that a lot. But yeah, and she was a prodigy. And you don't know throughout the story, you slowly unravel what kind of person she is. Because at the start, according to Will, she was perfect. You know, never cried. Only time she cried
Is when she played the violin.
It's a red flag.
Yeah.
It's never. And he even talks about, things got bad at times, but she never cried or anything. She bottled up everything. And eventually, he's watching her, and she wrecks her car. But it's left very vague.
Yes, because you don't know if it was intentional or if it wasn't. Was it suicide? Yeah. Was she tired? Like, you don't get the context.
Was it
stress
stress-related?
Right.
And then
they talk about the notes that the family finds.
Well, eventually they find a suicide note,
right.
which is... But the entire time, Will is looking for any reason to believe that she did not do this on purpose, to believe that he would not send someone down so much like himself, knowing that he killed himself as well. But so it kills him to believe that she would do that. So the entire time he's trying to figure, he's replaying the death scene.
Right. And that's the conflict with the character Emma.
Did the wheels squeak? Why'd she bring the violin? All these things. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he gets someone that's a lot like Amanda.
Right.
And he doesn't want to send her down because he can't go through another one dying.
And then Cain, and I know there's a reason why this man's name was Cain. Cain and Abel, obviously. Pessimism, murder, all that. You could look into like biblical Old Testament stuff for that. But obviously the more, as we brought up earlier, the more pessimist, the more careful about the world. And that's who Will wants to send down, because he doesn't want another heartbreak like Emma to deal with this again.
And the writing is so good that, like I said, any one of these people could be sent down to Earth and get something out of life. And most likely, the best person probably was Cain, because he would be the safest choice. He would go through life, but it's the question of he would not get the most out of life.
Yeah.
And that's Emma who would get the most out of life. Or even... Tony Hale, who plays like the jokester guy who doesn't take anything serious and whatnot, and but who also can't accept at the end that he's not the candidate to go or whatever. So they all can be sent down, but yeah, Cain is probably the best choice, but he's not gonna be the one that enjoys life the most. So it's like, well, who do you choose?
Mm-hmm.
Do you choose someone that's gonna burn real hot but burn out fast? Or do you choose someone that's going to play it safe but maybe never be happy because he's playing it so safe?
When I loved, again, the dialogue was so good in the contrast between Cain and Emma. They're all sitting at that dinner table and they're laughing and they talk about things that disgust them.
Yeah.
Right? And Cain's was, obviously rape, murder, all this horrific shit.
He was only seeing the bad things.
Right.
Right.
Where it's like her disgusting was completely different.
It was funny. Yeah, exactly. And but you get the sense that, even though she was able to break down that Cain character, and then he even gave you more reason.
He even laughed too.
Exactly. And he almost gave you more reason to believe that she should have been the one. But yeah, that's the whole thing, is like you're weighing the options of like who could go and who couldn't with Winston Duke, with his character. But I mentioned that there's these long scenes really last for a really long time in these films, but then they're intercut with those beautifully shot, amazing scenes of every time someone doesn't make it.
He has a moment for them. Write down your favorite moment, and I'll try my best to reenact it.
And then there's no dialogue in those scenes. Zero.
Nope. And then Benedict Wong, Kaio in the film.
Yeah.
Like he explains,
it's a tragic story as well.
Yeah, he does. But he explains that this is the only arbiter who actually does this for people.
Right. The rest of them just say, hey, it's out of my mind now.
Yeah.
But Winston Duke, what he does is when you find out you're not going to make it, you're just going to disappear. He does a moment for you, any moment you want. Like the kids who was, the one kid who was overly sensitive, super sensitive. And
He got the ocean and the beach.
Oh, it was such a good
It was
scene
beautiful,
too.
man.
My
That one
God.
actually got me a little bit.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I know.
Because it's
He
like
just wanted to be at the
he just
beach,
wanted to
yeah.
experience like life, and that's a beautiful thing that I think we take for granted.
Yeah.
Especially like when you look at these people and you realize, wow, they'll never get a life. He's gonna fade into nothing.
Nothing. Not even a. Yeah, not even a memory of.
And then you
He would
see see Will like pushing the water.
Yeah.
You know, in the corner, and he's got his headphones. He can hear the seagulls.
But then it goes in and it's at the beach. You know, it's not fake or anything.
Yeah.
And then it comes back and then he's there with just the projection and whatnot. It's amazingly well done.
It is.
Well shot. Those scenes, like when those scenes are interjected perfectly too. Because whenever you think a scene's going a little long or something, they'll throw one of those in and it's like slows everything down. And it's amazing. But
and at this time, Emma's watching every single one.
she watches
of these.
everyone, yeah, exactly. So she's almost getting to experience more life than anyone else would at that stage, you know,
sure.
obviously. But yeah, and I love it because it goes and like he's watching. He has like almost like 20 people that he's sent down to Earth at this point, but they're all. Each one that he's watching is like a little bit of the people he's deciding. Like there was a kid that was getting bullied constantly, and you got to think that the only reason he didn't send that guy down that was already sensitive was the fear that he could be bullied like this other kid. This other kid at one point snaps and
Hits a man over the head with a rock.
Yeah, and maybe killed him.
Yeah.
But and screams. So you got to think that all these he had to learn over time what is the perfect combination of human to send down.
Also, the police officer that gets shot in the gut hits his spine.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's paralyzed.
It's rough.
It is.
It's and that's where the torture. That's why I think it's worse than hell. Is because you're forced to watch these people, and at that point you can't do anything. You're just watching.
I thought Tony Hale did a fucking great job.
Well, he's
as Alexander,
hilarious
too.
Yeah, Buster
But
Bluth.
there were some, but there were some great moments with him in this film that, like, just that guy who just wants to have a beer, hang out,
Yeah.
And then when he finds out he doesn't get life, and he kind of he gets really emotional, and then he snaps.
And that was like, to me, was like, okay, Winston Duke, Will's character, does know what he's doing. I mean, he knew that this person would not make.
Yeah.
Because immediately he was willing to like throw anyone under the bus to keep surviving.
But again, the acting
Oh
from
yeah,
Tony Hale was fucking awesome. In that scene, I was like, whoa. I was taken back, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is powerful. This is a really good performance. Because that's hard to do, to like switch emotions like that so fast, and he crushed it.
Well, and the scene before that of him showing him real pain. Because when you're in
yes.
this world, everything's doled down. You know, that's why you want to get to the Earth. But so to show him real pain, because Tony Hale's character, he was a jokester. He was never taking any of them seriously. So he showed him pain by physically, like hurting him, and that was like a big fucking scene, and that kind of made it real for him. But then the very next scene is him telling him that he did not make the fucking cut, and he immediately goes from that jokester to that very, very serious, and he refuses to have an after moment scene where he just walks.
He says he
off.
doesn't want one.
Yeah.
He just walks away.
And that's what I thought was the best acting for Tony Hale, is when he's out in the desert or whatever, and he's like weeping or whatever,
Yeah.
and then because it's so sad, because you literally just fade away.
That's it.
And then no one will ever know about you. No one will ever know. It's crazy to fucking think about. It's pretty fucking heavy. Yeah. But it'd be crazy to think about that we all have to go through that kind of process. Like each individual us, you think about like, why the fuck would anyone pick you?
I guess technically, and to some extent, we do. I mean, 9 months in the womb. Not everyone makes it out.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we're not competing against 8 other people, which is nice.
True, yeah.
But unless you're one of those fucking octomoms where you are competing against 8 other people in the womb,
You gotta get that food.
you got to kill a guy in there.
Well,
You got to
gotta
absorb
kill
a
some
twin.
other, some fetuses.
But yeah, it's a crazy premise, but all the actors are phenomenal. The actress who plays Emma, Zazie Beetz, who's in fucking everything these days.
Yeah, she is.
She was just in the cowboy movie we did.
The Harder They Fall.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's in that. She plays Domino in Deadpool 2. She's from the TV show Atlanta. That was the first thing I saw her in.
And Joker as well.
And Joker.
Yep.
She's on fire.
She is. She's crushing it.
But she does amazing, too, as like the unconventional pick who kind of shows Winston Duke's character, Will, that there is something like left to...
I love that at the end. You know,
we could talk about that now.
Let's talk about that because, you know, obviously he Will selects Kane to live. And
the logical choice.
Right. It's a Will. And he has this meeting with Emma, and he goes, write down one thing, one memory that I will try my best to recreate, right? And she writes down, we all know what she writes down, but they don't show it. And he goes, no, I cannot do this. Because early in the film, Emma and Will were talking about the moment where you felt the most alive. And Will gave this story about this play that he did, you know. Long story short, he had to memorize this within 48 hours. The main actor dropped out. He had a photographic memory, so he just worked on it hundreds of times over and over and over until he got it perfect. Went out on stage and felt like the most alive on stage.
Yep.
And so she writes something, and he says, I can't do that. And she goes, well, adios, basically. Leaves him a note.
Because she couldn't pick one memory.
No. And she leaves a note later on after she's walking in the desert. And it says basically that she's written down throughout the house all the memories that I've had throughout my time being here.
It is just the perfect, I don't know about pacing or whatever, but it's just the perfect third act end, I think, which third acts always fucking lack. You know, they're always disappointing, but this is this is a strong third act. To where the entire time you're climbing, and you end at the climax, the very fucking top. A lot of times it will go climax and then go down, and you'll end at a lull. But this ends at the best scene. It just so happens to end at the best scene in the entire fucking movie. And it's the scene where I think fucking Winston Duke should get an Oscar nomination for sure. The entire time he's doing a phenomenal job. But when he gets out to the desert and he starts reciting...
It's Walt Whitman's Song of Myself,
which is a poem. He starts reciting that, and it goes on for like 3 or 5 minutes or something, and it's just phenomenal acting. It's like being taken to school and being showed how to fucking act. Yeah. It is so fucking good, dude.
And it's also you see this character that is dead inside the whole time finally come to life.
Yeah, but exactly. But just to film that scene, to be on that set. And it seems so personal, just two actors, and you must have just he must have just said, okay, Winston, fucking go, and he just poured it out in that fucking scene, man. He is physically getting into, and Winston Duke, he's a big fucking guy.
He is. I mean, he was the villain, well, kind of the villain.
Kind of
the villain.
From Wakanda, yeah. And he's the dad in Us, and he's a menacing guy in Us. Yeah. I mean, his evil twin is a menacing guy, but he's a big guy, man, but when he starts fucking acting and he starts pounding his chest and he starts doing the movements or whatever, and she's like following him along and doing it too, it's powerful fucking scene, dude. I will be upset if he does not at least get a nomination, but I can see him not getting a nom because of how small this film is.
They'll snub him. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have the money. You gotta have the money to do the Oscar.
But I actually agree with you. That was something I was going to bring up too at the end of this podcast. Was I totally agree. I think he should most certainly at least be nominated for one.
Yeah, because that ending scene, man, it's textbook.
It is powerful.
And
then
good.
I love just the very end. The last words is he just thanks her.
Yeah, because he just gave her a little of that humanity that he's been missing since he's died.
But it was a thank you, like, and it was obviously received because she felt alive too. Yeah. Until she was gone, but it also helped him.
It's brutal because she still doesn't make it. No. She still doesn't go.
Still didn't make the cut. There is no grace for that.
Fucking hard. Yeah, of course, but yeah, a powerful fucking movie, powerful scene to end on. It's hard to end on your best scene in a film. Yeah. But they
accomplished that.
Yeah, they did.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. And I didn't talk about it much, but I always got to bring it up if it's good. The score is, like I said, there's an absence of score throughout some scenes, but the score is all violin, and you feel like it's Amanda
playing. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more there.
So every time you hear it, it's like, fuck, because it's always violin. Mm-hmm.
Well, and Amanda was always in the back of your mind throughout this whole film.
Yeah, and it's pretty much whenever the score pretty much only kicks in when he's replaying those Amanda videos. And then it does a violin, and it's like her last set. It's heartbreaking. And it's one of those things that's like, it's done subconsciously. Like, it's not said or it's not told that this is Amanda playing, but you could just feel that it's her fucking playing.
Yeah.
Tough job,
the
man.
The same way that you loved Belfast is the same way that I absolutely love this fucking movie.
Yeah.
This will be top 10 for me, probably top 3.
I know.
I loved this film from start to finish. Rarely can I go back and watch a film again, but I might just do it because I have 48 hours left on my rental, and I'm
you gotta get that love. Yeah, this is one of those where after watching it, because I watched it the second time just recently, because I watched it in theaters months ago, so I had to re up on it. But this is a film where I'm like, everyone should be shown this film at some point in their lives. Like, everyone should be sat down and, like, I don't know if it's like a time when maybe you're at the lowest or maybe a time when you're at the highest. I just feel like you fucking watch this film and it kind of almost resets you. Mm-hmm. And it does. It makes you appreciate life a little more, especially thinking you go through this big process to get here.
Yeah.
And you do. You got to beat out fucking 9 billion other sperm cells.
It's true.
So we do go through
You made the race. You got first place, you know? But, yeah, and not only that, but I think anyone who enjoys film or who wants to create film
A study
or
of
write
film,
a
yeah.
screenplay, this is a really good. Like, I want to get the screenplay for this and I want to read through it because it's simple. The set pieces are simple. It's just this could be so good on a stage too.
Oh yeah.
As a playwright, I love this. I love this story. I love everything that entails it, and definitely one of my favorite films of this year, unquestionably.
Yeah, and it's so small. There's only there's a few fucking characters, 7 or 8 characters. It's done really tiny. It's in a house. They don't go anywhere. It was filmed out in fucking the middle of Utah. They just put a house out there. It looks phenomenal. All the set design was amazing too, but yeah, I loved how small it is. It's what you fucking want out of an indie film because it's so original. It's not a sequel or a prequel or a reboot or anything like that. Yeah. It is one of its own, and it won't be getting a prequel or a sequel as well.
No, absolutely not.
It stands on its own. But yeah, I'll be disappointed Winston Duke does not get that fucking nod.
Well, let's make the push. Let's build a petition.
Yeah,
for Winston Duke.
Who do we got to talk to?
Yeah, who do we got to smack around a little bit? You know what I'm saying? Whose kneecap do we got to
Whose dick you got to suck to get Winston Duke up there?
Yeah, well, not Weinstein's anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, that used to be the
thing.
That used to be the gold standard of dick sucking.
You want one of these? Oh, yeah.
You know who you got to go to.
Weinstein BJ.
You got to go through his fucking mound of pubes to get to his miniature dick.
The sweat.
Then you got to inject something in his dick because his dick doesn't work.
It doesn't
anymore.
work. It's completely flaccid.
It's completely flaccid. Yeah. But yeah, I would recommend this film to anyone. See it as a kid. See it as an old man. See it when you're going through a divorce, it's just one of those powerful films that no matter who you are, you'll take something from this film.
For sure.
Definitely.
All right. Well, that is our review for 9 Days. If you guys like what you've seen here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Kraus. And until next time.
Bye.